Have we established a quorum now?
Yes.
New packet, you'll find the minutes of the meeting of August the 5th. Those that were present at that meeting, you've had a chance to review those minutes. What is your pleasure? If not, take time to read them, please.
I reviewed them and I'll make a motion to accept them as written.
It's a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the acceptance, please signify by raised hand. Unanimous. We have just concluded a public hearing reference to various requests by SW Sharpsburg LLC. Now, we will have to have a motion for or against the acceptance of those variances. They can either be taken as a whole first. If that does not work, then we'll take them as individuals. But do need a motion on the floor one way or the other.
I'll make a motion, we should take them individual, so that way we can comment on individual ones.
All right, there is a motion on the floor that we take them individually. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions or changes to that motion? All in favor signify by raised hand, please. Okay, taking the first one and the multi-use trail. Is there a motion that so that if there is any discussion, that it can be discussed as a motion item? Is there a motion that it be accepted or denied?
Make a motion to accept.
It's a motion to accept on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Now that there's a motion and a second, any discussion from council reference to that motion?
Are we just saying instead of a multi-use trail, we're gonna have a sidewalk?
Right. Sidewalks would be in front and to the side and would have a purpose. The multi-use trail would have no purpose. It would just go from Sunset to 54, coming to and going from to no specific place.
So the sidewalk's gonna be in front of the parking lot along 54?
Correct.
And it'll also go down Sunset?
Correct.
To the picnic area?
No. If you look at your plan that's in your packet, you'll see that the sidewalk goes down, and you'll notice also that the fence on Sunset comes all the way down to, so that you've got your 50-foot buffer from the very extreme corner of the building over to the fence. So you've got a fence, a sidewalk, fence, 50-foot undisturbed. And then across the front, sidewalk, hedgerow, trees. Now, they understand, it has been explained that once they give final plans, that they go under our architect, our landscape architect, to review those plans, to be there sure to. And these here are so close to the plans that he put forth originally, but if so, we will discuss it and come out with something that'll work for everybody. Any other?
I just thought that was the picnic area.
Picnic area right there, where it says picnic area.
So the sidewalk does run down, okay.
That's
That's
a
all.
fence, there's a fence right there.
Oh, okay, the privacy fence between.
Goes all the way down.
That's
and
what you-
across. Yeah. But the reason I requested that, and they were very nice to allow it, is that we went down and visited the one in Sonoma, which is a nice store. Ours, believe it or not, is gonna be even nicer than that one down there. But when I walked over to the corner where the employees would go out to smoke, all around that corner area was no grass, beat down, hundreds and hundreds of cigarettes thrown down on the ground. I said, let's have a door coming out the back, a little area where the employees can sit, have their lunch, whatever, smoke if they want, and have a place to dispose of those cigarettes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why that's there. We want the front to stay nice. Any other comments from council or questions reference to the motion that's on the floor, reference to multi-use trails? Hearing none, are you ready to vote on that motion? All in favor of accepting the motion, reference to multi-use, please signify by raised hand. 3. Opposed? Like sign. 3, 4, 1 opposed. Reference to the second is parking. And going back to something that came up in the public hearing, when we were looking at parking in commercial areas, we were and will still stick to, regardless of who owns the property, who sells the property, the corner lots, because of where they are and the visibility, the traffic light and so forth, and the possibility of gas pumps not being facing the road. All that was discussed in our original meetings. We were presented first off with the plans as we requested, as the ordinance said, for the parking to be in front. Excuse me, yes, parking in the rear. Thank you. And it looked terrible. The building was going to be right up against the sidewalk. The deliveries were going to be a disaster trying to get the truck in and out. The detention pond would create a problem in that we would, there again, have to get a buffer on this side to move the detention pond to get the tractor trailer straightened out to back up to the delivery door over here. After looking at it all the way around, and consulting our engineering firm, they're the ones that came up and redrew it and marked through the original plans. This was as much our doing as it was, in fact, it was our doing that recommended it. In fact, this is where Dennis came up and said, hey, that ain't gonna work. This is what we're gonna have to do to make it all work and make it work right. He just scratched it out there, and then of course he went back and revised it to something like this. So that's why the parking was moved to the front. It lets less disturbance to the greenery and so forth. Now, so that we can discuss it as a group at that explanation, a motion is in order to accept or deny the parking variance.
Make a motion.
Motion's on the floor. Second.
I second.
Motion and second. Now, is there further discussion from council?
Going back to what was brought up in the public hearing, when we went and looked at all the places that had stores with parking in the front, parking in the rear, the places that had parking in the rear only worked great because you had long shopping strips and you pulled in entrances and you parked around the back. This is on an island by itself. You'd have one entrance pulled around back, and just having the one row of parking on front, you're going to have some more trees up front. The building's not right on the front. Where it's at, that's correct thing for this location. It wouldn't matter if it was Dollar General, if it was a doctor's office, that would be the correct thing to do here because of the detention area. There was gonna be a lot more disturbance going in the other way. I was opposed to being pushed back, getting closer to the houses, but it makes more sense, and I think we can control it better. It'll actually put the noise closer of cars and stuff going in and out, more toward the front, away from the houses. We're sticking with the idea of parking in the rear for the most of the strip, especially right between Williams Circle, and on the other side, because if we can get them all built at the same time, you can stagger them and park on the rear. You have two roads coming in, and you're gonna park. Here, it's just a driveway, it's not a road going in, so you're going there for one specific purpose, just for that one store. So in this instance, it's gonna be less parking than the one across from your house. It's not gonna be as big of a parking lot in the front, it's just one row, so it's not double-sided. Most of the parking is gonna be on the side here. It didn't take up any more space because they just moved the store back. So it actually centered the store in the property, front and rear.
Any other comment? Celine?
No.
After having looked at both of them, the starkness of having the building right up on the sidewalk was, there was no question after we all looked at it. All right, if there are no further discussion in reference to the parking, a vote will be in order. All in favor of its acceptance of the motion on the floor, please signify by raised hand. Opposed, like sign. Got that, clerk? The rear buffer, and we've already discussed it a little bit, so I will go right into the request for a motion for or against.
Make a motion.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second. Now we can open the floor to discussion. Any further discussion other than what we did earlier that was not discussed, or anything even that was discussed in the public hearing? Hearing none, assuming you're ready to vote on the motion on the floor, all in favor of the acceptance, please signify by raised hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Can I ask a question? When was the public hearing sign posted
Where,
for the public hearing for today? When was it posted?
out here or on the paper?
On the street?
It was posted, shoot, it's been posted a long time, a couple of weeks.
That little sign?
Yeah, out here on the board.
No, she's talking about the ones,
The yard sign that's
We'll put
at
in
the
the-
front of Sunset Drive?
Oh, I don't know where those came from. We don't do those.
We didn't do.
Who did them?
Yes.
Huh?
I said yes.
Who did it?
I did.
You put it up?
Mhm.
So there wasn't even, we didn't even put a sign up. The county council didn't put a sign up.
It was put in the paper and it was put on the bulletin board as required.
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we notify the residents of Sunset Drive
First
to
off,
be here at a public meeting?
first off, we don't have to.
Okay. That's the end. I don't want to hear no more.
Okay.
If we don't have to, that's good enough for me. That's not really how I operate in public office would be, I don't have to inform my residents.
Well,
I mean, whatever, but whatever. I live on the roads. I'd have been happy to inform my residents on the road personally, if that's what you want, rather than posting a sign.
no, if it's what you want,
I would have been happy to do so.
you could have done
I
it.
didn't know there was a public meeting until I was leaving to come here. And I really wish the Pensons or Amy's would have been here, since their house is the most directly affected by this. But they did not know, I'm sure.
I will reserve that comment.
Thank you for posting that, Polly.
And I apologize for not doing it sooner.
Well,
Anything else to come before the meeting? Let me go down the agenda. Public comments that was not discussed in the public hearing.
Yeah. What she's brought up is, I think, is a good idea. With all this Twitter and Facebook and all of this other stuff that's available now for people, why can't people be notified? My little preschool, pre-kindergarten, I get a email from text from school nearly about every time they take a deep breath. And it seems to me like it would be relatively easy for the town to adopt. And I know that you'd have to get email addresses and telephone numbers.
And
You
we've
probably
tried.
got them all.
And we've tried to.
Well, let me try it one time.
We're all in favor if you want to try it.
Because I do believe that people, they're not going to come to all these boring meetings. But they would like to come to the meetings where something is going to directly affect them, and they don't know it. You'd be astonished how many people don't read the Times Herald, even online, and that's restricted somewhat. And how many people in town you think go right down here and look at the board? Nearly nobody. Well, nobody, except me.
Would you volunteer to do that for us?
I'll volunteer to think about it.
Okay. We would be most appreciative if you would consider doing that.
Let me talk to Donna and see what information she's got.
Okay. No other public comments other than what was discussed. Poll of council, started to my right.
none.
Clerk's comments? Okay. Reference to mayor's minutes. Everybody that's been down here is individuals, and I hadn't talked to Celine about it yet, but I will. We have done a cut back here between the parking lot fence and the cypress trees, so that you could get in now and see what needs to be done as far as making the parking lot bigger eventually. And it's the consensus of those that have looked at it so far. The cypress, unfortunately, are dying. They were planted too close together. They were supposed to have been planted 15 foot apart, and they were planted 8 to 8.5 feet apart in both directions. And the extension agents say that the blight that they have is irreversible, and that they will continue to die. Some of them have already died in total. Now, we're looking at the possibility not only of adding the strip that has been bush hogged between the fence and the trees, but during the process of the park, of taking those cypress out and bringing the parking lot all the way over, and then landscaping between the parking lot and the park itself with suggested shrubs, flowering trees, something that is not dying and that we'll have to take out within the next 5 years anyway. So if you would like to look at that at your convenience, I'd be more than glad to show you, because everybody else has been down to see it. Okay. I will tell you that the minutes of the last meeting, that in the mayor's comments, I made reference to the fact that we are still working on the sewer. That is still being worked on. Had 2 meetings last week reference to that, with more coming up. IS&E Engineering is looking at that for us. They should have at least some rough cost estimates back to us by the end of this week. So we said yesterday, or on Friday, and that we will use that to go to the county to see if we can't get the line extended from the school to take care of our commercial corridors, which hopefully will lead to the further development down the road. But I wanted to let you know that we are still working on it, and that we got some good interest from some deep pockets, and who knows, it may become a reality one of these days if we keep working on it. That concludes the mayor's minutes. If there are no other actions to come before the council, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.